Hey, Harvest Returns investors, Chris Rawley here with Andy Miller from Real Kansas Meats. And we're going to ask a couple questions, get an update on what's going on with the operation at Real Kansas Meat and the fundraise, and hopefully provide everybody some information on the state of the industry right now, cattle industry in specific. So, Andy, thanks for being with us today. You start off by telling us what's going on with the beef industry. You know, I think pretty much everybody on this call has heard that we've got herd sizes that are the smallest they've been since what, the 1950s or 60s, something like that. And you know, just tell us what's going on there and how that might impact the processing industry in your operation.
Yeah, sure. You bet, Chris. Thank you for having me today and going through some of these questions. First, I'll get right into it. The first question, yes, the beef industry on the producer side is the highest prices we've seen in the history of the game. But I would say that consumers are not the highest priced. During COVID in 2021, we had box beef prices at $4.75 a pound. Today, our choice box beef prices are $3.89 a pound as of today. That's an 86-pound difference. So when people say sometimes, hey, you know, is beef pricing itself out? You know, the average red meat consumer in the United States is 59 pounds a year. Well, we're not. And from 1975, I believe we were at 2.16 million. And today, 3.47 million people in the United States. You know, that's a significant amount of red meat right there. And so that jumps right into the second question when you're asking, Chris, about the herd size. Yeah, we have the smallest herd size since 1951. Our beef producing cows are 27.9 million cows. Now, overall, with dairy and your heifers and steers replacement, we're 86.7 million as of today. But at the low in 1951, we're at 28.2. I mean, we've grown, we've lost, you know, 2 or 3% there just in what, 50, 70 years, 75 years, and gained 1 million some people in the United States. That math is crazy. You know, we went from the year 2000 of 622,000 farmers to year 2023, 536,000 farmers. I mean, ranchers, not farmers, but ranchers and cattle. I mean, the red meat and supply isn't going down in the United States. So the last question there you had, Chris, was another good question. How does it impact us, and how does it impact the meat processing industry? Well, we're seeing now that the big four are actually having to give producers a piece of that pie, right? And so they're squirming a little bit. They're saying, "Oh, it's tough," you know, but we still never know their off-fall cost. Well, to what we're doing, and I refer to this all the time, we're a niche plant, right? And the new thing is a niche plant. And the reason why I say that, so many consumers want to know where the product comes from and how that product was treated, how it was raised. And that's where we see ourselves really evolving as we go along from a, you know, 100 head to a 300 head a day plant to, you know, who knows in year 6 and 7, maybe a 500-day plant, because we see that value and we see the value coming back to the producer and to us by telling that story. And so we understand that.
That's great to hear. Hey, I'm going to throw you a curveball that we didn't talk about. We've seen, you know, speaking of the big four processors, we've seen some news lately about labor issues and, you know, illegal migrant issues and things like that. How is that in your neighborhood and you know, your operation and your plans to hire folks to work in your facility? What does that look like?
Yeah. So again, I always say good question. I got to quit doing that, right? But it's a good question. You know, in the state of Kansas, almost a third of the cattle are slaughtered in the United States in Kansas alone. And Tyson actually shut a plant down. It was a further food processing plant. It was in Emporia, Kansas. Had 800 employees. They're in, some of them are still in deferment. They're still working, about 400. Actually, by the time we're opening, a lot of those, my people have already reached out to some of those people. You can imagine if 800 people and we're 40 minutes away from Emporia, we've probably had 300 job applications being thrown our way for those people wanting to go to work for us. And besides that, our average hourly wage here and with the state of Kansas coming back with their incentives, is $23.11 an hour. At that Emporia plant, those people were $19.50 an hour. So we have them coming from all over right now wanting to work for us. And I'll take another step above that. You're right. Some of the bigger plants, I'm not for sure, not picking on them about how they, procure their employees. But with us, we will have a lot of Mexican descent that work for us. I've explained to people they're third and fourth generational. They didn't just come over and they're not illegal. They don't, for this money that we're doing that, usually a husband and wife will actually work in a plant like this, not just a husband. The wife will too, because between both of them, it's a six figure job.
That's great. All right. Well, you talked about how Kansas and in your part of Kansas is unique. Can you just tell us how your operation is going to be unique among other processors, and tell us about your traceability, because that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, man, that just seems to grow every day. We were just at Sedan, Kansas, and a producer meeting we got invited to for the KCA, Kansas Cattlemen Association, to speak at. And we had, I think, 65 in attendance, and we probably signed up another 1,000 fall kids in the traceability programs. And what that pertains to in the traceability program is we have an RFD tag. It's not federally regulated. We give that tag out. We have our own traceable company that does that traceable. We don't have to use IMI Global. We see right now with like the American Angus Association right now having a lot of negative flow back about where their information is going. We had an all natural customer ask us yesterday. We own that information at Real Kansas Meats and Real Kansas Food Tracking. And so that information stays with us. It doesn't go to the government. So we put that tag in the ear and in the data when the calf is born, and we're putting them in now because 16 months later to 18 months later, we're going to slaughter those calves. So we want true transparency of where the animal came from, how it was raised, the vaccination, the shots, whether it was implanted, whether it's all natural, how it was fed. It wasn't no Rumensa, no Bovatech. It was fed Emoji Ingredients, who's now is an A shareholder into the plant of an ingredients world. They want to see that return. It's ground up chestnuts is what it is. So they want to see that feedback. And so we see that to follow that through with VistaTrack and the QR code. We had a meeting yesterday with Vision 33, with HubSpot, how we're integrating that technology to EMSs and CRSs and ERPs into the technology that we can give really, whether it's financial or we can see where that animal goes and know where those best animals are at, but also the producer and the consumer. What does the consumer want, right? How does he want the high end? Maybe he wants the select traceability part. So we see that as nobody's doing in the industry. It's because we can give true transparency. We can back it up by live data to telling where the animal comes from.
That's great. One thing we've always said at Harvest Returns, or we've been saying it for at least the past 8 or 9 years, is that the consumer food preferences have become increasingly fragmented. So that means, the whole Make America Healthy. Some people are fine with just conventionally produced, grain-fed, heifer. Others want grass-fed, grass-finished, no hormones, no antibiotics, whatever, fed on acorn, whatever they're fed on. It's everybody's got something different. Nobody's necessarily wrong. None of those producers are wrong,
Right.
But the consumers, they have their preference, and the industry needs to evolve to meet it. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're helping do in your part of that, the beef supply chain. So that's great. All right. Well, one last thing. I heard you guys been really busy with getting some new customers on board, some LOIs signed, things like that. And obviously everybody wants to hear how things are going out at the construction site and what's up there. So if you could finish off by letting us know.
Yeah. So, the Lord has blessed us with a lot of rainfall right now, which is a good thing for the cattle industry because it's been dry for so many years. Unfortunately, on the construction world, we're been shut down here for a couple of weeks in the dirt world because of rain, but we'll get fired back up here, we hope, in the next few days and be able to start moving some dirt again and really get after it. Looks like we're going to kind of get some dry weather, which is good. All hands on deck. We're ready to my crew is ready to go forward there today. We did, that was pretty neat. Last week, we did sign a custom packing contract. It's about a $2 million contract for a couple thousand head our first year. We were kind of conservative with the contract. They were wanting maybe to do 5,000. We held it at 2. We can always go back and add to it here coming up in the next 6 months. So that was big. We've had a lot of finishing our water line. Actually, Allie just sent a check out for our 6-inch main water line this week to for the engineering to finish up on it. That was big. So that's really done. We're going July 1st to Lebanon, Missouri for producers meeting. They've asked us, MFA has asked us to come over there I think it's at 1:00, 1:15 in the afternoon for about an hour to do a presentation of our traceability and to roll out a new program that we're rolling out to our producers out there that are putting their own label on. We want to take that a step further with LOIs with them and offer them the capability to get in here this first year of those 50 and those 100 head, 25 head a year labels, that they have their own labels, their own jerky, that we want to service that for them, pack that for them. But then what we want to service is on the other side of it that nobody's doing in the industry is to be able to take that and also storage that for them in cold storage, ship that out for them so they never have to touch the product. They can sell it from their website. We send it out in our combo boxes, which they can't do. They can't get that price that we can, and the shipping prices. They can add value added to it. They could add jerky to it. They could add meat sticks to it. They could add beef bacon to it. So they can add things that nobody else is offering that we can offer to that, and for a fee. And we kind of did our feelers out there. Hey, would you buy in for that for a fee? Well, we found out they were like, yeah, we would. And then on top of that, they're like, hey, the rest of our cattle, would you like them in your programs? We're like, sure, we would. So that's kind of neat. We're rolling that out strong. We will be also rolling out here in August. Lindy and Travis been working on it with Shopify. That I'm old enough to show my age now. That we're going to call it the layaway. I call it the old layaway. To do it, you can start 16 months in advance, paying a monthly payment of like $200 for a whole beef. To when it gets to that time at market share, you're not having to pay for a whole cow, and you get to choose on our traceable. These only for the traceable calves. You get to choose. Do you want a prime traceable calf that's CAB, or you want a non-implanted CAB traceable calf, or do you want a all natural calf? So you can choose on there, and the prices will kind of be preset as a down payment. So, and then at the end, you'll be able to determine where the market share is on that calf, what the person still owes. So kind of neat. That'll be all being rolled out in the next 60 days.
That's great to hear. It does sound like we talk producers every day, as you know, and you're solving a lot of problems that are out there in the industry, especially on the direct to consumer side of trying to the shipping costs and the labeling, all those things. So that's great. Great that you can be a part of that and help make producers more profitable, which that's always on our minds. So, well, terrific. Well, hey, we appreciate your time and hope investors found this valuable. And we look forward to talking to you again sometime. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Chris. Have a good day.